Hi there, it's Nicole for Lawn Fawn, and today I have an interactive oven sprinkled with joy card. This is the sprinkled with joy stamp set and coordinating dies and the sprinkled with joy add-on dies, which create this awesome interactive oven. You can see the oven door opens there. Just so super cute and very fun and easy to use. I'm going to show you how I built this kitchen and stamped additional greeting on the inside of the card, but just really kind of built this whole kitchen centered around this awesome oven. I have laid out the elements that I think I'm going to use. I have used quite a few different elements from Sprinkled with Joy, but I'm also going to incorporate the bowl and spoon from the Baked with Love, and also the cookie jar from the Milk and Cookies stamp set, because I think they coordinate really nicely and go with this fun cookie baking Christmas theme here. I'm going to put all of these images in my Misty, pick them up, and I'm going to stamp them all at once. So inking them up with some Simon Says stamp, intense black ink, a great ink for Copic coloring. I like to stamp them several times. The reason I like using the Misty is you can stamp them one on top of another right over the first stamping. That way you get really nice bold black lines for coloring in. So just gonna go ahead and move that to the side now and start coloring in all of my elements. I decided to keep my color scheme to grays and reds to go for my Christmas theme here. I'm going to start by outlining that oven door with a red marker, and then I want my oven to almost be a white color, so I'm using some very light, cool grays for the oven to start out with. I'm going to show you a few tips here when you're going to make this an interactive element oven to make sure you get everything colored in. If you're not going to use it interactively, which you absolutely do not have to, there is a straight die that just die cuts this oven right with the Sprinkled with Joy stamp set. You do not have to make this interactive if you don't want to. The interactive element comes with the Sprinkled with Joy add-on. I colored just a little bit in on the oven window or oven door there itself with a dark marker because I want the inside of my oven to be that dark gray. When you die cut it with the Sprinkled with Joy add-on, there is going to be a slight little line all the way around, and with that line you just probably don't want it to be white, so that's why I colored it dark there so it blends in with the back or the inside of the oven. I'll color in the burners a little bit darker, cool gray colors. The colors of markers I am using are shown across the bottom of the screen. This is for all things I'm coloring. So the cool gray combination is cool gray 0, 0, 2, and 5. For my dark areas, that's going to be cool gray 8 and 5 generally. The cool gray 9 I'll use here in a little bit, and I'll show you what that's for. It's going to be the countertop. The red combination is red or R24, 27, and 46. And then for anything brown, the cookies, the wooden spoon, the handles on the rolling pin, that is going to be E40, 43, and or 44. I think the 44 is just for the wooden spoon. So here I'm going to color in my dishes, anything that's going to be dishware, the bowl, the cookie jar. That is going to be in shades of red to complement the red accents on the oven. Again, I'm using that same color combination shown across the bottom of the screen. Keeps it kind of easy. Even though there is so much coloring and so many colored elements on this particular card, the colors, it's not a huge long list of colors like sometimes it can be. You definitely could do that if you prefer. I just decided to keep it kind of a simple color scheme for this card. Coloring in the cookie jar just like the bowl. I did try to go and do all of my red elements at once if possible. The things I knew for sure I wanted to color red. The stripe around the bowl and the inside of the bowl I wanted to remain quote unquote white, but I do like to add a touch of gray, gives it that nice shadowing look. The cookies are E40 and E43. I thought that was a pretty good combination for making these look like sugar cookies. It blended out a little too much when I went in with E40, so I did go back and add another layer of E43 to brown up those edges of the cookie just a little, or cookies just a little bit. I also love that not only could you do these shaped cookies like I have here, but there's gingerbread cookies. There's just lots of different elements with this Sprinkled with Joy stamp set. I think it's going to be so much fun to create lots of different styles of cards with, and not just for the holiday season. You can definitely do lots of different things. I think it would be cute to do maybe all heart cookies for Valentine's Day. You can create any kinds of baking card for any time of the year. The rolling pin is going to use all three of those E colors, 40, 43, and 44. The cookie sheet was definitely that light, my light cool grays, make it look like a silver cookie sheet. Gonna bounce back here to my wooden spoon that I forgot. I darkened up that just area on the spoon with my E44 a little. Then I have got the sprinkle jar. I'm going to make the top of it look kind of like a silver or a metal. And then I was going to make the jar itself kind of clear. That's why I started in with my cool shadow marker, and I realized I didn't want to do that. So I put that away. I'm going to just skip over to the frosting jar. Again, keeping with my cool grays. The jar itself is going to be a little bit lighter. The lid's going to be darker. At this point, I really didn't want to introduce any other colors to this design. And once I colored in the frosting jar with gray markers, I realized I wanted to do the sprinkles jar with red, just to add a little bit more red into the card. So that's what I will do for that. Very, very quick. I'll go ahead and take the coordinating dies, tape all of those in place, and instead of die cutting the oven with the Sprinkled with Joy oven die, I'm going to die cut it with the Sprinkled with Joy add-on oven die, which has that great cutout and that perforated line for the oven door to make it interactive. Just going to run those through my Sizzix Big Shot. Go ahead and pop all of those out. I'm going to go ahead and show you that oven. And the door opens. How cute is that? And it's got that great little perforated line down there. I'm just going to bend it right along there. Maybe on the back you can see it just a little bit better. I'm going to use a bone folder just to make that a nice crease. Go ahead and bend it back. I have also die cut the solid oven from the Sprinkled with Joy die collection, and I'm going to color in just this background area with that cool gray 9 marker. That's going to be really nice and dark. It's either cool gray 8 or 9, I can't remember exactly, but I want the inside of the oven to be dark. So I just went over it here with my marker. Make sure you want to get it all colored in. Definitely not nice and neat coloring. But these are going to be one on top of another to make that an interactive element. You could hide a greeting across the top or even have a greeting in that window. Lots of ways to do this. Lots of different ways to seal this shut. Now, I had tried this one other time. I'm going to put acetate on the back of my oven door to really kind of give it that clear look. So I didn't use the tab from the Sprinkled with Joy add-on, but you can use this tab die to close it as well. And Lawn Fawn has a great video on all the components of this die collection. I die cut the tea towel from the Sprinkled with Joy add-on from some of the great new Christmas plaid paper. And I die cut the oven door opener. This is going to make it easy to grab hold of that oven door and open up that interactive element. Now I want this to coordinate with the rest of my oven and not be stark white. So I went ahead and folded it. You want to kind of do a Z shape along the score lines there. And then I'm coloring it in with some Copic markers, again, just to have it coordinate with my oven. I don't want it to stand out. I'm going to color that in and then let that set and let the ink completely dry. Because I'm going to stamp a little phrase. There's an open me from the Sprinkled with Joy stamp set that I think will work on there perfectly. I'm going to just use my bone folder to score the tea towel. It has awesome little cross stitch detail along the bottom. Truly, the towel is like my favorite part of the whole oven. I absolutely love it. I think it's so cute. I'm going to go ahead and use some Zotz Bling glue dots to attach my sugar cookies to the cookie sheet. Another idea that I kind of thought was fun, but I didn't really think there was room on my card, that cookie sheet die, I think would make an awesome rug. So if you wanted to die cut a cute little plaid rug from some of the Christmas plaid paper to put in front of your oven if you're doing one of these cards, I think that would be really, really cute. I have trimmed down some cardstock now to create the background elements to build my kitchen. This is going to be the countertop. This is colored with that Cool 9 marker to make it black. You could also definitely just use a black cardstock strip. I did this because I think it coordinated a little bit better with all the other colored elements. There is really nothing else that's going to be colored on this page. I also love that this Just For You stamp set has this great, I think it's a gumball, but I think it makes the perfect knob for cabinets. So I stamped those with black licorice ink right there on my 3 little cabinet panels. Again, all cut from white cardstock. There's nothing fancy going on here. I'm going to take the Sprinkled with Joy greeting, curve that because I want it to follow the curve of the oven, ink it up with the Lawn Fawn lobster ink. My die's all shifted. I want to make sure I get it stamped right where I want it to go, and I'm going to stamp that right above the top of my oven. The whole greeting is actually going to be a little bit longer, so I'm going to take another phrase from my stamp set and stamp, "May your holidays be sprinkled with joy." And that's going to be the background there. For the flooring, I just took another strip, added a little Gathered Twigs Distress ink. I needed something a little bit different in color, I felt, and I didn't really want black. And I'm going to layer that along the bottom edge of my card. I have a piece of cardstock that is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, so standard A2 size. I've also trimmed down some transparency here that I'm going to place on the back side of my oven door. I'm using glue dots to hold that in place. Peel off the backing paper from the transparency, and I really like how that looks on the oven itself. It gives it a little bit more, that little door, some more stability. Then you carefully want to only put adhesive on the top area. You don't want any adhesive on that door. So anywhere that isn't the door, put some adhesive there so that's nice and secure. Then place that on the background oven die. I stamped "Open Me" on the handle, and I'm putting a glue dot on each end. Just going to cover up that little area on the oven so that it has the "Open Me." Place a glue dot on the tea towel and hang that over the edge. I stamped "Open Me" clear over to the right so that there was room for the tea towel. I did that on purpose. Then I'm going to build the rest of my kitchen scene with the cabinet and the oven. So I will secure my oven right there to the cabinet, adhere both of my cabinet doors to the left, the little skinny one to the right, and then adhere that whole panel. I'm going to just tuck my countertop now behind because I want the countertop to line up with the range there, just the top of the range a little bit. That looks good. And now I'm ready to attach all of the fun little elements that bring that kitchen baking scene together. And I'm using glue dots to attach anything small. Trying to figure out the best way for my shaker, and nowhere was working. I don't know what happened there, but then I came up with a better idea, I think. Here, so I'll show you that in a second. I've got my cookie jar, I've got my batter bowl, my spoon. I'm going to just kind of layer and tuck all of these elements on the counter. End with the adorable little rolling pin. And I purposely let a couple of things kind of hang off the edge so that I could trim that. It grounds the whole design. I need another glue dot on the back of my tea towel to kind of hold that down just a little bit better on the oven door. Isn't that cute? I just love it. I placed the sprinkle shaker up there above the greeting So it's good, and then I'll stamp some sprinkles from the Sprinkled with Joy stamp set with the lobster red ink, a little glossy accents for the knobs on the oven and the cabinet doors. Here's those little sprinkles. I'll do a couple little areas of those, one by the oven, one up above. And on the inside of my card, I'm going to add an additional greeting that says Shake and Bake, and add some sprinkles next to that as well with my lobster red ink. Just a fun little way to kind of bring what's going on the outside of the card in. And that kind of smudged. I actually had to re-stamp that for the finished card, which you'll see here in a second. Put some adhesive on the front of my top fold card base. Place that panel right on top. And once that glossy accents is all dry, my card is going to be completely finished. So here is a look at the finished card. Cute little interactive oven door, that fun tea towel hanging off the handle, so much fun. I hope this has inspired you to create some cards with the Lawn Fawn Sprinkled with Joy stamp set and the add-on Sprinkled with Joy dies. The supplies I've used to create this card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more Christmas-themed cards showcasing Lawn Fawn stamps and dies. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.